Well, hello and welcome to a new episode of Dagon Pack News. I have this week's best gaming news stories for you. In this week's first story, the iconic mask from the 2000s N64 game The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is now available for purchase. But much to the chagrin of loyal fans, it is not actually wearable. In fact, the product is a painted plastic statue, and it costs $100. Yes, that thing that you're looking at right there, costs $100. Like, holy shit. But, I mean, it's pricey, but look at it. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. But, really? Can't wear it? Like, what's the point? If you have it, you should be able to use it. Then again, this might be like the time they told me I shouldn't use a real lightsaber when teaching the younglings. They were right then, so maybe we should probably listen to them. I kind of want it. It actually plugs in, and the base glows, and so do the eyes. Like, it looks really, really nice, but it is not wearable. This is not something that you could wear to protect yourself from coronavirus. You know those houses that have candles in the windows? Yes, put that in the window. That would be amazing. Just freak out all your neighbors. Yes, I'm here for it. In our next story, solid state drives have been all the rage for gamers as it allows them to load data from storage very quickly, spending less time looking at a loading screen and more time blowing aliens' heads off. Not to be confused with blowing aliens. Nimbus Data just revealed the pricing for its 100 terabyte SSD. Yes, that's right. 100 terabyte SSD. The typical SSD capacity is usually 1 to 2 terabytes, although most consumers can only access 8 terabyte SSDs if they spread their wallets like they do their holes. Anyway, the pricing for this behemoth SSD was announced, and it costs, drumroll please, $40,000. $40,000. Jesus. I think I'd rather just buy a car and get a couple of old disk drives. It actually works out to about 40 cents per gigabyte, which is well over the typical 17 cents per gigabyte on average. Actually, I think I'd rather spend obscene amounts of money on that mask that you can't even wear. And for the nerds in the audience, the thing is called an exa drive, alluding to exabytes. And I would like to point out that this would be 0.1 exabyte. Okay, so false advertisement, first of all. How much is that in porn? Many porn. In our next story, there is a new TV reality show coming out this month, and it's based on The Sims because 2020. The Sims Sparked, which is set to premiere in the middle of July, tasks its contestants with building, and I quote, the most unique characters, worlds, and stories in The Sims 4. It's a joint production between TBS and BuzzFeed, which will air on TV first and online the Mondays after they air on TV. One of the judges is Sims voice actor Taylor Parks. Voice actor? You mean that was an actual human being who was making those incoherent nonsense noises? I always figured they were the recorded noise of a duck fucking a rabbit. Who knew? You learn something new every day, chat. But this is what it's come to. We've gone from writing TV shows to producing contestants in reality TV shows to now getting contestants to produce video game characters, allowing the computer to simulate them, and then broadcasting that to the public. It's so lazy it's borderline evil. No word yet if the contestants will be allowed to use mods in their creation. I personally hope they can. I would love to see the untold story of Walter White from Breaking Bad, but if he were a sex-addicted clown with a mohawk of dicks on his head. there are some really dark corners of the Sims modding community. That's just you, damn me! If you're just coming into this stream and want me to explain what's going on here, I'm not going to. Earlier this week, Activision removed the OK hand sign from its Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Warzone games. It had only been added to the games a few months ago. The reason for its removal is the growing association of the hand sign with white supremacy. What started as a troll in a cesspool of the internet known as 4chan seeped into the real world, with white supremacists across the world using it to silently communicate the phrase white power to each other. If you're upset about Activision removing this and falling for an internet hoax, you may have been living under a rock, as the usage of the symbol has truly been co-opted by alt-right white supremacists. And if you're about to say, but it just means okay, you snowflake, that's exactly the point. The whole point of gestures like this is so that racist assholes can wink at each other, then pretend they were just saying okay when they get called out. It's not uncommon for words and symbols to change in a living language. For example, these days it's not so politically correct to call them white supremacists. Now we have to call them. In our next story, check out the 1% Fortnite house. A mansion gaming YouTubers bought and turned into a vaguely fun-looking giant home office. It's both a reminder that even when you've made it as an influencer, the grind never stops, and also that teenagers have no idea how the fuck to decorate a home like a grown-ass adult and or functioning human being. Whoever sold them the house told them the piano the house came with was played by Frank Sinatra, who is not known as a piano player. They also have a flute which was played by Jimi Hendrix, and a pair of jogging shorts worn by Stephen Hawking. They have, and I quote, the coolest thing, a snack bar filled with candy. While they have a 160 wine display case that goes completely ignored. Gaming does suffer from the impression that it's not a real profession. It's just a bunch of kids playing games. And to be honest, after watching this, I'm starting to feel like that myself. There's also a load of merchandise you can buy at the mansion to help fund these children who play video games and apparently have enough money to buy a mansion with cash. Kids these days. A mint condition sealed copy of the original Super Mario Bros. Sold at auction for $114,000 on July 10th, setting a new record for the sale of a single collectible video game. The previous record, a private sale for $100,150 in February of 2019, was for another sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. The packaging is sealed, for one, and is graded at a near perfect 9.4, meaning it's distinctly free of wear and tear. It's also an early printing of the game, not as early as the one sold in 2019, but early enough to still have the cardboard hang tab on the box, which stores were supposed to punch out and use to hang NES games on pegs like action figures at the toy stores. In short, and I quote, a cardboard hang tab copy of any early Nintendo Entertainment System game brings a certain era of vintage unrivaled by its successors, reads the game's listing on Heritage Auctions. The game is sealed? How do they even know it's in there? Or if it's working? You may have paid all that money for a game that may not exist or work. You won't know it's worth the money until you open it and play it, which would ruin the value. It's essentially Schrodinger's video game. If it is sealed, then how do you know it's Mario Brothers in there? It could be 1989's DuckTales for all we know. Though a time-traveling DuckTales game would probably be even more valuable, TBH. To be fair, usually you do have to pay a huge amount of things when they are rare. They might be an early edition, or have a flaw that makes them unique. It's funny how mistakes can be so expensive. Kind of like children. Hang on, I'm putting a hang tag above my dick so it can be vintage. Send pictures, Cubes. In our last story of the night, Valorant's anti-cheat software has a hidden message buried deep within its code. It reads, "Protected by Pac-Man, a Riot Games product, developed with love by the anti-cheat team. We're always hiring talented individuals. If you found this message, we implore you to take a look at our jobs page and see if anything catches your interest." There is even some cute ASCII art to go along with it. The hope is that people who are doing it as a hobby or because they're curious might want a chance to do it as a career. But it's odd, right? It's kind of odd. Like they're getting hackers to like contact them because maybe they want the hackers working for them, right? It's kind of like posting jobs for security guards inside a bank vault. It's like, everybody on the ground now! Are you hiring? Oh my god! I am still not entirely sure if this isn't just a ruse to get people to turn themselves in. Like when Chief Wiggum lured Homer Simpson into paying for his parking tickets under the guise of giving him a free motorboat. What kind of motorboat? Well, Chief Wiggum is up for anything. Do you consider your dick vintage? Leave a comment below and tell us how vintage. And also click the subscribe button and ring the bell to get the most up-to-date DPN. But seriously though, if you liked this episode, hit those like and subscribe buttons, hit the bell, leave a comment down below, tell us what you thought. Tell Coobs how fucking hilarious he is. And if you have any news stories you'd like for me to cover next week, leave those there as well, and I will have a look. Bye-bye, everyone.